Hold on, be right back.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Science Forum. Today is July 2nd. Right now, the time is 8 Pacific time, 8 a.m. in the morning, very early morning. As usual, welcome to our dear friend Tom. Tom, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much. Yeah, we are here as usual at Tuesday morning, but something different. You might see that the background of Tom's room is it's really different. So, well, I have to say thank you so much, Tom, to spend time with us during his vacation. Right now, he's in the cruise. Hey,
Well,
Tom.
interesting. We're on a cruise. The cruise ship today is actually at sea all day, so I'm not missing any land tours or anything.
Nice.
Traveling from the west coast of Norway, and then tomorrow we'll be all day at the Faroe Islands, which is halfway between Norway and Iceland. And it's 4 p.m. in the afternoon here right now. But so anyway, it's my pleasure. I glad
Thank
I
you.
can do it. I had to get high stream. All my normal equipment didn't work, so I had to get high stream, high cost internet from the ship so that I could stream video or stream these kind of calls. But otherwise, it's worth it. I'm glad I could do it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's very clear. I think the picture's clear and the sound is very good. Very good. Well, it's a thousands miles away. Thank you for the high tech, for the technology. So we still can sit here and talk about some important issue. So we have two issues today, Tom. Before we start the topic, I like to introduce again Tom. He works in FBI for 30 years and he works as a director, assistant director in FBI for 5 years. And he's retired now and he like to spend some time with us to tell us what his observation and what his understanding about the current issue and about the American. And thank you. I really appreciate it. And so today we have two big topic, big topic. One is about the debate. I don't know if you watched the debate or not. So right now the
He
question,
actually was able to. The debate was live. I was in Denmark at the time, which is on European time,
uh,
and in Copenhagen. So my wife and I stayed up to watch the debate, which began at 3 in the morning Denmark time. So we lost a little bit of sleep watching the debate. I think at the end of the debate, the Democrats lost more sleep than we did. So that's one
that's
thing.
true. That's true. It's a sad day for them. I understand. So this debate actually defines so many things and clarifies so many things that we are guessing, right? So right now, question is, will Biden step down or not? If not, what's going to happen? If he stepped down, who's going to run for the president for Democrats? That's the question number one. Two is about the decision from Supreme Court yesterday. It's a very important one. And we just want to see it's a good news to Trump supporter, to people that hold the American Constitution dearly. So what the decision will affect the coming election, affect the Trump? So these are two questions, all related to 2024 election, which is the most important one in our lifetime.
Right.
So yeah, what do you think about Biden? He will step down or he will stay there?
Well, that's a good question right now. But starting with the debate, I think
Right.
one of the things that we've been hearing for the last 3.5 years from the mainstream media is Biden is as sharp as a tack. That's conservatives and the right wingers and the Trump and MAGA. They're all spreading these rumors that he's not as sharp. And then recently, where you see him falling down, falling up the stairs on Air Force One, or wandering off when they're in Normandy at the D-Day meetings, and all these reports starting to come out. You can see that. So now the White House goes into full lie. He's sharp as can be. you have his spokesperson, Jean Pierre, saying, don't believe your lying eyes. Those are fake videos, just like the fake Hunter Biden computer a couple of years ago. Those are fake. That's not real. What, the Russians altered the mainstream media's portrayal of Biden walking like a stiff robot or slurring his words or getting lost in a conversation, even reading a teleprompter, not being able to read it. So you have the media and the Democrats and the White House and Joe and Jill Biden and the whole family saying all these years, oh, he's in great shape. He's fine. And they put him out there, and the real people close to him, they know he's not fine. They know he hasn't been fine. They've been lying to us. And what happened, I think, is that they've lied to all the millions of people in the primaries that cast votes for Biden to go to the Democratic National Convention this summer to vote for him to be presidential nominee of the party. And now you have the debate just shows how much of a lie we have been fed from everybody associated. Again, the mainstream media, these media people on, in the morning, like Joe Scarborough and some of these other ones. Oh, they're making this up to make Biden look bad. It's a lie. He's in great shape. He's as smart as he's ever been. You even have Gavin Newsom doing interviews on one of the Sunday morning shows a couple of weeks ago saying, this man is as sharp as he's ever. He's in great shape. He's so bright. I don't hesitate to throw my entire support to him. Of course, these guys, they're professional liars. So we shouldn't be surprised. I'm surprised that anybody believed them at all in the last couple of months, couple of years, but couple of months for sure. And especially in the last 2 or 3 months, where Biden has displayed such inability to complete a sentence, to complete a coherent thought, to pay attention to what's going on without having to be checked on. And they've spread this lie after lie. And now the debate happens and everybody is shocked and outraged. How come we didn't know this? How come nobody told us he was in such bad shape? Well, they've been telling you. If you watch the right news channels or the right internet channels, you would have seen it for yourself. And instead, the fact that you've believed this nonsense for all this time just shows how stupid you are and how dangerous your stupidity is to the United States of America. Because if Biden had refused to debate, he could have beat Trump. He's pretty close in the swing states, and who knows what would happen between now and November. So, how close we've come to Biden being elected at least for another 4 years when he can't complete the first 4 years effectively.
Right. So some people from the left side, they cried after the debate because they feel so sad, or maybe because they feel they're cheating for such a long time. I think
if he would have gotten reelected, I would have cried.
Yeah, exactly. The country will cry. So
exactly.
You brought a very good point. Is so many people believe this obvious lies. Why?
I don't know. And I think part of it, part of how much they've lied about Biden, equally, maybe more so, are the lies that they spread about Trump. Now, Trump has been president for 4 years. They didn't have to get the military to remove him from the White House. He left. The documents he took, he's entitled to take as the president. He can declassify everything he wanted to declassify and take it with him if he chose to. So that was still under discussion with the National Archives and the other authorities. So Trump didn't steal the documents, which Biden did, in fact, the documents that he had in his offices and at home next to his Corvette. But Trump was entitled to them, and the best economy in decades, the best unemployment numbers for Americans, including every minority category, the best numbers, across the board, energy independent, all of the things that Biden day one shut down.
Right.
and immediately started the process of the massive inflation. The inflation when Biden left office was 1.9%. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you had Biden just recently lie again about that. When I took over the White House, inflation was 9%. It never went above 2% during the Trump administration. So these kind of lies, and the national debt being where it's at now at 34 trillion, all of which because of Biden can't wait to give away money, not just to all kinds of people in our country, but to Ukraine and other countries. So, the lies that they've been telling, and then they say Trump's the liar.
Right.
The double standard of justice that the Biden administration, with Merrick Garland and
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Wray, what they have done, that's what they accuse Trump is going to be a dictator. Trump is going to be a tyrant. Trump is going to take away your civil liberties.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what they've been doing for
Right.
3+ years. So
Right.
I think those lies have finally caught up to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first. And then, who's really running the country right at the moment? Is it Jill Biden? She's
No.
leading him around, you know, it
I
may be
think
her. I don't know.
I
That
think
wouldn't be the first time that we had a woman president who was the wife of the sitting president who no longer could function. This
mm-hmm.
happened in 2019, October 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Woodrow Wilson, the president of the United States, had a stroke. He had a series of strokes, but then he had a severe stroke, paralyzed on the left side of his body, his speech, partially blind, all of these factors. His second wife, his first wife died of kidney disease. His second wife, Edith, she pretty much takes over. So
Mm-hmm.
she gets the physician from the White House to help put him in bed,
Mm-hmm.
where he stays for the next 17 months of his administration. Now, you don't have TV, so he's not missing any television interviews. You
Right.
can't see video of him trying to climb stairs or do anything. And
Mm-hmm.
so, so she was able to hide his physical disability. And then she set up the system where any document he needed to review, they had to bring to her. She would
Mm-hmm.
decide if it was important enough to bring it to his attention. She kept cabinet officers, media, members of Congress from even be able to meet with him in
Mm-hmm.
person. She just kept him in a bubble for 17 months. Now you have the word that Jill Biden seems to be, leading Joe Biden around and all of that. And she seems to be, by appearances, really caught up
Mm-hmm.
in the trappings of the office, that she's the queen of the United States, posing on covers of magazines and expensive gowns. And, supposedly right after the debate, the Biden family had a meeting together.
Mm-hmm.
And at that meeting, the family members were telling Joe, no, 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 don't quit. You got to keep running. Well, of course they tell him that. They've all made a fortune off of him. He's like the golden goose. Why would they want him out of office?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you start with Jill, all the trappings that she has, and look, they were just in Normandy to celebrate the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion during
Mm-hmm.
World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Jill Biden at government expense flies back from Normandy to Delaware to
Mm-hmm.
sit for one day at the trial of Hunter Biden,
Mm-hmm.
then flies back to Normandy. And the expense of that is hundreds of thousands of dollars, the cost of the jet, the Secret Service that goes with her, all the other expense involved in that, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a one-day trip to Normandy. Now,
Right.
that's not something you could do as a civilian
Mm-hmm.
easily.
Mm-hmm.
Easily. Yeah, you could spend 400,000, but by all indications, Biden is greedy and they pull in as much money as they can. But the
Mm-hmm.
family, every member of that family, including little children, have made money that was sent to them by China, Ukraine, Romania, other sources. That was corruption. It was
Mm-hmm.
corrupt money sent to the Bidens. In one case, put through 10 different uh, corporations, LLC corporations, to hide how the money was being transferred and all of that. A straight money laundering operation. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think they want him to retire and sit at the beach and adjust his lawn chair? Oh, no, 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 no. They're making a fortune with him in office. And they want it to stay that way. And not only that, but I'm sure Hunter wants him to
Yeah.
make sure he's there long enough to give him a pardon for all the things he is convicted of and going to be convicted of in the months ahead.
Right, right. So people say that the one who really behind Biden is Obama. So now Joe Biden take over the president's on authority. But do you think Obama will agree with her? Well, Obama will allow her to getting the power?
Yeah, there's always been a great deal of friction between Biden and Obama going back to the end of the Obama administration.
Mhm.
Uh, Obama, was famous for making one statement, and I'll clean up the statement. Never underestimate the ability of Joe Biden to F things up.
Right.
Now, that's how he spoke of the guy that was his vice president for 8 years.
Hmm.
So, so that was Biden take at that time.
Hmm.
Now, rumor has it, there's interesting all of the interplay now of what's going on.
Hmm.
Obviously, the successor to the president is the vice president.
Hmm.
So now they have the situation where nobody wants Joe Biden to quit because they don't want Kamala Harris to become president, even for a month.
Hmm.
They don't want that because then she'd be an incumbent, the first Black female president, and she'd be an incumbent come November.
Hmm.
So it would be very hard to say, no, we don't want her. When the whole Democratic Party, the whole country pretty much knows her approval ratings are lower than Joe Biden's
Hmm.
because people regard her pretty much as what she demonstrates all the time, that
Hmm.
she's pretty much of a moron.
Hmm.
So they know she's not fit to be president. They don't want her to be president. She's like Joe. She can't even put together a full sentence that makes sense. And
Hmm.
she's so much younger. So they can't blame dementia for that. They can only blame stupidity.
Hmm.
So that's why they don't want her. But Joe Biden, go back to the Democrats, they're at fault in this, including Joe especially. He picked her based on identity politics to be vice president. Not
Hmm.
that she would be able to be the best president should something happen to him, but Black or partially Black, Jamaican, whatever, or Indian, several degrees of non-whiteness and female.
Hmm.
So that was why she checked a number of boxes. That's why he picked her. And now, ever since then, people don't want her in office. They
Hmm.
realize she could not be president. They don't want her to be president. Now, the strategy recently has been Gavin Newsom cannot run again for governor of California.
Hmm.
So they're trying to entice Kamala, forget about being vice president again on the ticket and all of that. Wouldn't you rather be governor of California? And so they're
Shame.
looking at that as a possibility, but they need her to volunteer for that. They
Right.
can't they can't appear to be, and she's even made statements, and people interviewing her have made statements in the last couple of weeks that they can't appear to be dumping a Black woman. So that's where this talk, well, let's get Michelle Obama in there. She keeps saying she doesn't want any part of this. She doesn't want to go through all of the stress that her husband went through, and they
Hmm.
don't need it. They're multimillionaires, house on the ocean, house in Washington, house
Hmm.
in Hawaii. They're living large. She doesn't want to, give that up to be
Hmm.
president. No,
Hmm.
that's almost a step down because she was the queen of the U.S. for a while.
Hmm.
So that's another interesting. You don't know if they're lying or she's lying or she'd really like that to be the president. Another rumor is that I just read about this morning
Hmm.
that Michelle Obama, they're looking at maybe talking her in to go ahead and replace Joe Biden to be the candidate, president of the United States. Pick Barack Obama to be her vice president. Then she doesn't want to be president. Okay, after you're sworn in and you're the president, then resign and Barack becomes president again. Now, the way the Constitution is written, some
Uh,
scholars say, and I'm not 100% positive, but
mhm.
some are saying that it's written that when they passed the new amendment in 1967, laying out how long someone could be president and how many times they could run, that it basically said, it doesn't say that a person that was once president, even for 2 terms, can't be president again. It said he can't run for office again. He can't be elected president for a
Oh,
third term.
I
But
see.
if he was vice president and
And
just
then,
inherited the office, that might be legal. So because it's not specified that you can't do that. So so that's a possibility that Barack Obama may come in one way or the other. The other argument is it could still be Hillary. So if they go into the Democratic National Convention and it's an open convention, who knows, who they'll end up with at that point. Now, what's interesting to me is what a fraud against the millions of people across this country that voted for Joe Biden in all these primaries up till now.
yeah.
He got all these votes,
Mm-hmm.
all this money from donors, millions of dollars,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. Now it's all been a fraud.
Right.
And these voters, you could say, look, going back to the beginning of the primaries till now, to vote for Joe Biden, even from the beginning, with him already showing his cognitive lack of ability, you were
Mm-hmm.
stupid to vote for him in the first place. So if
Right.
you wasted your vote in one of the primaries
Mm-hmm.
voting for Joe Biden for president of the United States, well, good for you. You did that to yourself. And
Right.
those of you that sent money to him, good for you also. Because
Mm-hmm.
where's that money going to end up?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it seems like right now Biden doesn't want to step down. At least he didn't say anything that he gonna step down. And I heard the news from yesterday that DNC will maybe have a meeting and just lock Joe Biden as a candidate as the Democrats. So just stop the argument about how Joe Biden should do. Should he step down or stay in? It looks like there are some forces want him to stay in, which I just don't feel it make any sense because he cannot be Trump. This is a fact. Everybody see that.
Well, yeah, but you're right. Joseph Biden has demonstrated all these years how much of a narcissist he is. How much, after all these decades of telling lies on the campaign trail, of speeches that he gave, or law degrees that he earned, and all these stories that he's made up for years and years, suddenly the country goes stupid and votes for him and he's president of the United States. So I don't think, even in his limited mental capacity, it
Mhm.
might it might be still enough that he realizes he is president of the United States. He is the boss. He is, larger than life and all of these things. So
Mhm.
I don't think that with his narcissism that lets him think he's not capable or he's not intelligent or he's not, you name it. So I
Mhm.
think that's part of it. And of course, his family, every member of his family has made money off of his political life. He's
Mhm.
like the golden goose. Why would they want to kill that? So, whether it's Jill or Hunter or his brother or any other member of the little kids even got money
Right.
sent to them from China and Ukraine and other places. So
Mhm.
I think they're all like, oh no, Grandpa, don't quit. We need you. I'm going to have to buy a new pair of shoes, or prom is coming. I need a new dress. Keep that money coming in for us.
Mhm.
So I don't think anybody in the family is in a hurry for him to be retired,
Mhm.
even though normally, they're calling it elder abuse. But you're right. Elder abuse might be talking him into retiring. So he's on the beach at his beach house, adjusting that lawn chair that he can barely move because that might lead to a severe sunburn. So that
Mhm.
would really be the elder abuse. Keep him in the White House where everybody can take care of him and
Mhm.
keep him from getting a bad sunburn, which he might get in retirement.
Well, they are abusing this country. They're abusing every one of the voters. Can do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Mhm.
I don't think they care. I think their expressions of concern for the country or the common man or common woman, I think all of those things are being exposed for what they are, just massive lies. And
Mhm.
when's the country going to wake up? How many times do you need to be fooled and to be convinced that this is all a massive lie, a massive game, and a massive power play on their part?
Right. Yeah, when I watched the debate, I feel so sorry for Joe Biden. His performance, his cognitive situation. And I just feel that not only being insulted, I think every one of us is being insulted. Have this person as the president of United States. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and I think one of the things I saw in the debate was that Trump, I think, went out of his way to be gentle, to not really
Yeah.
bring home. Like if he was a boxer and your opponent,
Hmm.
if he was Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson,
Hmm.
they would have delivered the knockout punch. It would be over in round one. You never
Right.
saw that with Trump.
No.
Never saw that. Biden would make up these lies and all that, and Trump would just, he'd make a couple of faces, but he
Hmm.
pretty much did not go after Joe like he could have. He
Hmm.
could have gone. He could have done it much harder,
Hmm.
much stronger against him, which he didn't.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that, Tom. I just guess that because he is face to face in Joe Biden and he can see in person how weak Joe Biden is.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
that,
I think his staff, everybody that was advising Trump before the debate, and he didn't have 16 advisors like Biden and all that. But I think everybody that he did listen to, every some of the public speakers, some of the media speakers that he trusts and listened to, I think they were all giving the same message: do not come off like a bully. And
mm-mm,
they had set up by the rules of the debate, they set it up that when you gave your answer, the moderators turned your mic off and then your opponent's mic on. So that kept him from constantly being able to interject when Biden said something stupid or something that was a complete lie.
mm-hmm,
Trump just had to sit there. He could nod or shake his head or roll his eyes, but it kept him from being a bully, being really delivering, like I said, a knockout punch to Joe
mm-hmm.
Biden with some of the lies that he took. I mean, when you heard the issue on abortion, and Biden says all these women that are being raped by their brothers and
I
sisters.
know. It's
What?
crazy.
What?
I know.
Where'd you get that?
Yeah. I think he's totally lost.
Yeah.
He's totally
So
when he say
yeah.
that.
So I think Trump, that was part of Trump's strategy, was let Biden beat Biden, and he
Mm,
did.
hmm.
Let Biden destroy himself, which
Right.
is what happened.
Right. I think he has Biden have enough power to destroy himself. So
I think so. The old expression, give him enough rope so he'll hang himself.
yeah, that's right. That's right. And then what do you think of the possibility that first I know that Biden wants to stay in the race. He wants to be the president, not only this term, next term. You want to be another 4 years. But consider his performance. Do you think Trump will definitely win the election if Biden stay in the race?
I think no question. Depending whether the Democrats find a way to steal it or
Mhm.
find some other way with the vote counting or the drop boxes or mail-in ballots or any of that. But if it's a fair election, I think there's no question about Trump. But it's a long time. It's still several months away, and things could happen, and the rest of that. So I think that's an issue that I think it's Trump's to lose at this point, but it's not impossible. And depending what the Democrats do now, they're going to want the publicity of, a revitalized Democratic Party with a new nominee and all of this kind of stuff. On the other hand, that could still backfire on them also,
Mhm.
because again, you had millions of people vote for Joe Biden the last 6 months in these primaries and donate money, and then you have the donor class that have donated millions of dollars. So you
Mhm.
have all of this support for Joe Biden, and suddenly they want to rip the rug out from under him. So that's the same thing. It would have been unfortunate for Trump if he bullied Biden. Well,
Right.
now is the Democratic National Committee, are the senior Democratic officials, the
Mhm.
Schumers, the Clintons, the Pelosi's, are they
Mhm.
going to beat up on Joe Biden or make it look like they're bullying him?
Mhm.
Because if they don't get Joe and Jill both to say, we've thought about this, we really are voluntarily not going to run, for the reelection. We'll finish out the term so he can pardon everybody in the family, but we're going to stay in it until then.
Sure.
And then they have to line up all of this other stuff again. What are they going to do with Kamala Harris? Is she going to go along with, okay, I don't want to be vice president anymore? It was obviously so grueling of a job on her, having to make a public statement once every 4 or 5 weeks. Horrible strain on anybody. So for her, it'd be easier. Yeah, I'm going to run for governor of California. It's closer to home. I held state office in California. That'll be great. That'll be great. And then open it up for who's going to be the vice president. And again, if Biden, they may be in a situation where they need Biden to actually go through to the election, pick somebody as a vice president to replace Kamala on the ticket,
right?
And then pick somebody like Obama or Michelle or somebody that immediately, whoever gets elected, Democratic president, if they got elected, then they could resign a month or two later and hand the presidency to the vice president.
Right.
So now you're looking at who's that going to be. And now maybe the public would wisen up to realize that they're really being manipulated and taken advantage of by the Democratic Party, by whoever ends up being the nominee, Biden or whoever ends up being the vice president on the ticket. We just don't know all of that. But there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes. I saw one report where they're talking about hurrying up and moving up the nomination early. Get that going now, so there's more time, for the candidate to campaign between now and November. More time for them to line up, what they're trying to do to manipulate the election. So I don't know. With the Democratic Party, you hate to say this, but they've lied through this whole thing. Why would they stop lying now? So whatever they're going to come up with, do you trust it? Do you believe them?
Right.
I don't think they have the best. They don't have the best interest of Joe Biden in mind. They don't have the best interest of the country either. Or they're all the millions of people that voted for Joe Biden in the primaries. None of that matters to them. They don't care.
Well, the only thing we care is stay in power. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Right. So we'll keep observant what's going to happen to Joe Biden, to Democrats, and to the election. Must be wonderful. So to the our second question today is about the decision from Supreme Court about immunity. So what are your reaction about that? And then what's the effect of the election for Trump?
I think as I've looked at the decision, I think that it's very pro-Trump, favorable to Trump, that the president does need a certain degree of immunity, especially for official acts as president. Then unofficial acts or something in a more private manner, that needs to be decided. And I think what the Supreme Court is saying is, yes, the president should have immunity on official acts. However, the lower courts did not define what's an official act, what's an unofficial, what's presidential, how's that going to work? And there's examples of that. Let's say, for example, Joe Biden, day one, he issues presidential orders. And in his orders, when he brings down the energy industry. So we have the pipeline going from Canada to Louisiana. And across the Midwest of the Keystone Pipeline, you have numbers of people that have taken jobs have moved their families there. Restaurants being built, hotels built to support them, roads being built, and all of that. Thousands and thousands of dollars invested in just building it or the infrastructure to support a pipeline. Suddenly Joe Biden says, no more pipeline. So is that an official act? Because could they sue him for that? Could each of these jurisdictions along the way, all of the states in the Midwest, all the way up, that have spent money supporting that pipeline, could they have their district attorneys and their judges in those districts after Biden's no longer office sue him, bring him to court like Trump, file charges against him? That's one of many. of the decisions that have been made. The people that have been devastated by the open borders at the southern border.
Right.
That is wide open for the president who made that decision all by himself.
Right.
It wasn't that Congress passed a new law or took away Border Patrol or any of that. He did that all on his own. Right. So is that an official act that he's immune from? If anybody should want immunity for official acts, that should be the Democrats should want that for Biden, because Biden could be looking at hundreds of prosecutions for all these type of decisions that have had an impact on people that have been murdered, people that have been, decimated in some of these states where all these migrants have ended up in, or the people in Texas, Arizona, California, along the border. All of these things that have impact on the public, that every judge along the way in these local courts could bring a prosecution, their district attorney prosecute Joe Biden. So if anybody's going to, they think, oh, this will make Trump a dictator. No, this will make, without it, makes Biden a dictator, which he has been.
Right.
He's made these decisions all by himself with no, when Trump first became president and he said, I'm going to build a wall. Then how many different judges across the country filed, stop that? They issued orders, stop the construction. He had to go to court for 2 years. Or when they made the so-called Muslim ban. 7 countries that they could not send people into the United States. Did you know the 7 countries picked that Trump named were picked by Obama? It's just Obama had not implemented that. And the only reason those countries were picked, not because they were Muslim, because the authorities in those countries had no relationship with the authorities in our country, like the FBI and the other agencies, to vet the people that were coming in. The regular Muslim countries, no problem. Largest Muslim country in the world, Indonesia. There's more Muslims that live in Indonesia than the entire Middle East, Europe, and Africa combined.
Right.
No ban on them. Or Malaysia, the next biggest population. All of those countries that have enormous Muslim populations, there was no ban on them. It was the same countries that Obama had picked, because we don't have a relationship with anybody to check the people coming in. No police to contact. Do they have police records? Or no one else to go through in those countries to find out what the background is of the person trying to come in. So those kind of things, a president makes hundreds and hundreds of decisions, and the courts can keep the president tied up, the district attorneys, every little podunk, district attorney in the country can indict the president for whatever they want, make up some nonsense. So I think that the fact that at least official acts, the president should have official immunity from that.
So just like you said, it's more Biden in some ways, because he just made so many ridiculous decisions which hurt the country so bad.
Right. He's hurt so many people, so many states, just so much damage from one guy.
Right.
That if anybody in the world ever needed immunity and wanted it, it should be the Biden administration.
Right. Right. So once the decision is made, do you think Trump will be clear on his election? The lawsuit against him will stop?
Yeah. It's stopping in a way, because the court is saying, we want this to go back. The lower courts did not give the Supreme Court, they didn't deliberate enough different situations to give the Supreme Court a number of choices of what they could support and what they could take away. And so they're just saying, take it back to the lower courts in the first place and come up with a definition, official acts, unofficial acts, personal acts, define and give examples of where this applies and how it applies, and then send that back up to the Supreme Court. And then they have factual information to base a decision on, which they didn't have now. Now, the thing with that is that no matter what happens, it delays all these cases. So the only case that's going to be not really delayed at this point is going to be the sentencing of Donald Trump on July 11th. Where
Right.
will that go? Will that still stand? And at what point would the Supreme Court look at that case and finally say that that
Mhm.
judge, Merchan, has violated so many constitutional principles that that's got to be either thrown out or relitigated somehow? But the other cases that Jack Smith has brought that are
Mhm.
pending right now, um, if nothing else, they're being held now till after the election. And remember, how many times have I said,
Right.
Cheyenne, on this podcast, that the
Mhm.
Democrats stupidly waited too long to
Right.
bring these cases because there's too many constitutional issues
Mhm.
that now have to be decided, and they don't get decided immediately. So
Mhm.
now a number of these issues are now going to be held
Mhm.
and not decided, not sent back to the court until after the election.
Right. So I think
So
they dropped the case because it's after the election. The purpose of they bring the case is because they want to interfere the election.
exactly,
Right.
and it backfired. They delayed too long. They
Right.
played silly games because every one of these cases could have been brought 2 3 years ago.
Right.
But they wanted the maximum impact. He'll be in court right before the election, maximum impact that people won't vote for him when they see all of this, and
Mhm.
it's all backfired. And
Mhm.
now they won't even have resolution to these key decisions. And and some of the bases of the prosecutions, let's say January 6th,
Mhm.
there's a number of people that are going to be freed on that the
Mhm.
courts and the prosecutions were wrong in the way they proceeded against January 6th defendants.
Mhm.
And so a lot of that is going to, really disappear. So I think that most of these decisions have been very favorable to Trump, as most people thought they would be.
Mhm. Sure. Well, which is a good news. So the
Yeah.
right now we have only one case outstanding. There is July 11th, the
Right.
sentence of the Trump case. So, um,
And that's the one, if there was ever a case that had issues to be thrown out, that's the one.
yeah.
The judge, Merchan, violated so many constitutional principles in that, right up to and including that the defendants never knew in that case what the final violation was that they committed.
Right.
That the judge didn't even tell them. Well, just decide among all these charges what you think, guilty or innocent,
Mhm.
and we'll go with that. And so that's wrong.
Yeah.
Every lawyer that's looked at that case has said, "What's he talking about? That's not a. You have a right to know what you're being charged with." As a defendant, you have the right to know what the evidence is going to be against you on that charge.
Right.
And
Right.
the defense was denied all of that. The gag order, that's a whole other issue. So you
Mhm.
have all of these things that Merchan did wrong in that single case,
Right.
that any one of those is going to keep Trump out of jail, and I think probably eliminate the conviction.
Mhm.
And you notice how Biden in the debate managed to squeeze in there, that you were convicted 34 times, felony conviction. So that's all they wanted was, no matter what, no matter if it stood up or didn't stand up, they don't care. That
Mhm.
it's a talking point right now. Trump's a convicted felon.
Yeah.
And that's when Trump spoke up and said, "So's your son, Hunter." So,
Mhm. Mhm.
but in any event, most legal scholars think that's not going to stand up.
Right. Right. So we'll see for not another week away, right? So they're gonna July 11th. So maybe because of all the other cases are filled, so they will do the last punch, the last try to lock Trump in the jail. Maybe they will do that. Who knows? We'll
Yeah.
see.
Well, at this point, you're right. Who knows?
Right.
Because
So
they've done some of the things they've done in that case are so crazy.
right,
You would not have expected them to get away with it already.
right.
So in the long run, most people don't think they will get away with it, but it's in the short run. Yeah, this judge is sitting on the ability to put Trump in jail and all of that. We'll
Right.
see.
So if Supreme Court wants stop things from happening, they have to do that before July 11, or they can do something after July 11.
It could.
They
Yeah,
could,
at this point, you wonder how many different ways they could do it.
Right.
and how much power they have to do it.
Right.
So I think we'll just have to wait and see. I think at this point, they've come up with a lot in a short period of time of these cases, the constitutional issues in this case.
Right. Okay. So we'll see. This is a big question mark and see what they're going to
Yeah,
do. Well,
right.
all right. I have so many friends say just say hi to you and thank you to Tom spending time with us during your vacation. Um, so just for today's two questions, um I will stop here because I don't want to take it too much of your time of your vacation. Well, thank you so very
Well,
much.
I'm not going. It's not like I could swim home from here, so it's so I don't mind at all.
Yeah, well, thank you
My
so
my pleasure, and especially I went through some issues technically to make sure I could do the podcast. I had to, my devices of portable internet and all of that don't work in this
oh,
situation. The phone signals don't work, so I was luckily able to get through the ship high speed streaming internet and
thank,
get that, and it worked. So that's why we were able to do this, and I'm glad of that. So I didn't want to miss this because I knew the questions after the debate and all of the discussion over the past weekend about all of the strategy and who's
right.
going to stab Biden in the back and what about Obama and what about Jill Biden and all of these issues. And so I just thought that at least I'm not total expert on everything, but at least my input might be helpful to some people.
And you do. Thank you so very much and really appreciate your effort to make it happen, especially from your vacation. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And then enjoy your vacation.
I'll enjoy it, and then we'll do this again next Tuesday.
Sure, we'll see what happened. There
Okay,
so many things
exactly.
during
It's like between now and November, it's always like there's always going to be something happening,
right.
and especially with the political conventions, especially when the Democratic convention happens.
Mhm.
Uh, who knows? I've even heard some talk that the Democrats may move up their convention to
Right,
hurry up and get a
right.
nomination. And again, this it would prove to the inconsiderateness of that party
Mhm.
because you have people that have the hotels, the contracts for the hotel rooms, restaurants,
Mhm.
transportation, the
Mhm.
airline flights to go to the convention. And
Mhm.
they're like, we don't care about all that. We'll just have it when we want to, or we'll do it virtually. We'll
Right.
use Zoom to have a convention, whatever they want. So I think that what we don't know is what's going on behind closed doors in
Mhm.
the upper echelons of the Democratic Party,
Right.
because to them, the law doesn't matter.
Mhm.
The precedent of how the committee does their business doesn't matter. The millions of people that voted for Joe Biden doesn't matter. The millions and millions of dollars donated to the Biden campaign, none of that matters. Their
Mhm.
strategy is how are we going to retain our power? That's
That
all we care about. No
that's
matter who we screw over, how do we keep our power?
right.
And
Right.
then that'll play out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. And this behavior is hurt every single one of us. I just wish many American people can wake up to know
I hope
how
so.
who to vote.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Hey, thank you so much for today's
Thank you.
interview, and I wish you have enjoyed rest of your vacation.